today is November the 9th, 1981. A week since I put the camera on. God, a lot has happened since then. So, when I got Clara's letter, I immediately apparated to the ministry, and I had to get there through a telephone box. But I got there, and I got there really late, so there was no one around. So I'm running around like a crazy person trying to find someone. I finally find someone, and I explain my situation, and they tell me that I have to write a letter to the courtroom staff. So I did exactly that, and then I stayed at the Three Broomsticks for the night. Three Broomsticks? The Leaky Cauldron. Yeah, I stayed there. But I didn't really sleep much, because I was waiting for a reply. But I didn't get one until 8:30 AM the next morning, saying that I had to be at courtroom 10 by 9 AM. So that gave me half an hour to get myself sorted and get to the ministry, and also courtroom 10. I'd read about it in the Prophet. That's where all the serious Death Eater trials, that's where they were all happening. So I was seriously worried. I rushed straight to the ministry and trying to find someone again to tell me where courtroom 10 was. I was running around like an idiot, but someone finally told me I had to go down a lift, and then I started running down a corridor, and then I remember everything went really cold. Dementors. I'd read about them, but they were just there blocking the corridor, kind of floating. I don't know what I did, I just kind of froze. Could hear my parents. But a ministry worker asked me what I was doing down there, so I showed her my letter, and she started to direct me to another corridor, but then out of the corner of my eye I saw Clara, and I started shouting at her.
Clara, don't worry, I'll help you get out of this. You were so dramatic.
I couldn't help it. The Dementors, they were so scary.
Yeah, the Dementors.
I'm updating the camera on what happened. Do you want to help?
I guess so.
So, what happened when you went in there? I had to wait outside.
So, do I look at the camera?
You can if you want.
Okay. So they take us into the courtroom, and the first person I see is Barty Crouch. My stomach just dropped. He's brutal. And they sit me and my mother down on 2 chairs in the middle of the room. And the courtroom is full. I was seriously panicking, but my mother, she just looked so calm. Crouch starts explaining why we're there, and he starts questioning my mother first, asking if she knew that they were Death Eaters, and she just admits to everything, saying she was proud that they did what they had to do. And the courtroom just went crazy, and Barty Crouch had to settle them down again. And then he asked if she helped or had any involvement, and she denied that, but I could tell from the look of the courtroom that they weren't convinced. And then Barty asked me the same questions. And I admitted to knowing they were Death Eaters, but I said I never agreed with their opinions, and I treated Hogwarts like a safe place to escape from my family. But that was a mistake. As soon as I said I knew, the courtroom just erupted. Crouch had this look on his face and said, "Bring in the first the first witness against me." And they brought in this guy,
Mundungus Fletcher. He was in the corridor with me.
Yes. He looked so smug, and he started talking about how he saw me in Diagon Alley with known Death Eaters attacking people, and I have to explain myself here. But I've already told you though.
Yeah, tell the camera though, I want to have everything down.
Okay. So, that day I came over to your house for your birthday, Evan got suspicious. So he found the ring I bought you and put a trace on it. And a few days later, his friends turn up to our house looking really happy and talking about my Muggle friends and saying how I need to be taught a lesson. And I guess they were up to something, so I ran down the street to try and ring you, but they got me. And they petrified me and locked me in the basement, and told our house elf to not let me leave. And then they went after you and your family. But I'm so proud of how you got out of there, Holly.
It was just pure pure luck. I just...
No, you thought quick on your feet, and your memory charm worked. They got back and had no clue about your whereabouts. And they had these burn marks all over them, and I just knew instantly that it was you. Obviously, they knew that they had been obliviated, but they just couldn't figure it out. And it was so funny. But only for a minute, because they just got frustrated and then took it out on me instead. My father and my dear brother thought it was best if I was put under the Imperious Curse to keep up appearances. Most of the time they just locked me in my room or made me agree with what they were saying. Sometimes they'd take me to meetings in the house with other Death Eaters and get me to agree with them. Sometimes I could fight it, but it's really difficult. It's like there's a really heavy brick pushing down on your brain when you try to fight the curse. And one night, Evan made me come with him and his friends to Diagon Alley. And they made me trash the shops and curse shopkeepers who didn't obey. And then we went into Florian Fortescue's.
I love his shop. He does the best ice creams.
Yeah. I think that's why I was able to fight the curse there. Because there's just so many good memories. And I saw Florian and I grabbed him and I said, "Help, I don't want to do this." But Evan saw me and apparated me back to the basement and locked me in there. And that's where I stayed until Alistair Moody killed Evan. God. But anyway, back to the hearing. So this monk guy was talking about how I was attacking and cursing people, and I tried to explain to them that I was under the Imperious Curse, and then the courtroom just went mad.
I remember hearing that from outside.
Yeah. And once they'd settled down again, Crouch said, "Bring in the first witness in defense." And there was Florian.
Yeah. He told me he'd heard about your court case and remembered that night and wanted to help you.
I can't thank him enough. He told them what I'd said to him, and said that he could see in my eyes I was under the curse. But Crouch wasn't having any of it. He says, "So the only evidence we have in defense is that you may have possibly been under the Imperious Curse." So I try to explain the whole story again, but he just bangs on his hammer and tells me to be quiet. And then a lady says, "Bring in the last witness," and that's when you come in.
Yeah. I can't believe how many people were in that room. And you and your mother, you were sat on those chairs and Crouch was looking down on me. I don't think I've ever been as scared in my life. And obviously I was sat outside, so I didn't really know what was going on, but from the look on your face, it looked like I was your last resort or something.
You really were.
So, Crouch starts to ask me what evidence do I have, and I start to explain that I'm a Muggle-born and that we've been friends since as long as I can remember, and you've never shown any interest in being a Death Eater or wanting to support them. And then I start to explain about the radio station and how you helped out on that, and a man from the crowd stands up and says that he's a big fan of 317, that he's been listening since the first airing, which is very lucky.
Yes.
But Crouch wasn't having any
Crouch
Crouch.
wasn't
No, he
listening.
wasn't really listening. So he asks me, how on earth can I prove any of this? And I get out this little thing, tap it and say 317, and I start talking into it. And then the man stands up again and says, "Yes, that's Fireball." And the crowd, they start nodding and clapping at me. So I get you to talking to it. And the man, he stands up again and he says, "That's Aunt Babbity. She's the one that gave us the information about the Death Eater attack on Hogsmeade. Do you remember that, Crouch?" Your mother, though,
My mother just went crazy. She started shouting. She says after all these years of trying and called me a blood traitor, and she got up and it really looked like she was going to hit me.
Yeah.
But a guard made her sit down again and put chains on her.
I seriously thought she was going to hit you.
And the room just went quiet, really quiet.
Yeah. I remember I can hear my heart beating.
I think I stopped breathing.
So, Crouch then says, those in favour of charging Rosanna Rosier, your mother, of all charges, and the whole courtroom just raises their hands. So, Crouch turns to your mother and says, "For involvement and support of the Death Eaters, you have been sentenced to 2 years in Azkaban." 2 years? My heart just dropped. I didn't know if my evidence was going to be enough for you.
I didn't know what to think. My mother just accepted it like it was nothing. I didn't want to spend 2 years in Azkaban with Dementors. But I really thought Crouch was out to get me, and I thought he would say the same.
He didn't.
No. And it's all thanks to you and Florian.
So, Crouch asks the same question, and not one single person raises their hand. Not one. So then Crouch asks those in favour of clearing Clara Rosanna Rosier of all charges, and the whole courtroom raises their hands, and Crouch even regrettably admits that he's been listening to 317 and concludes that with mine and Florian's evidence, he has nothing to prove that you had any involvement with the Death Eaters.
And you just ran up to me and hugged me like crazy.
I couldn't help it, I was just so relieved and happy.
I didn't even see my mother getting taken away. And I don't want to see her again. My father's in Azkaban for life, and Evan's dead. So long to the pure and loyal Rosier family.
Yeah. Mum and Dad have agreed that Clara can stay here for as long as she likes. Craig's room is free now, so it's no problem.
I can't believe that it's come to this. I'm happy. But after Hogwarts, I'm still going to try and find a place on my own and try and get into the broom industry.
But the offer is always going to be here. We're staying here until after Christmas, but I can't wait to go back to Hogwarts.
Me either. But, because of the long bottoms.
Yeah. It's just awful.
There's Death Eaters still out there. But it does seem like the Ministry's getting there. Or maybe the Death Eaters have just gone into hiding.
It's better to be safe.
Yeah.
But I'm sure nothing will happen. It's fine. Well, I think we've updated the camera on everything.
Yeah.
Turn it off now.